Hey guys, so this is our last lesson. It is kind of a longer one compared to the smaller videos we've been having the last couple weeks. This is split into two sections. It's all school related, but there's a specific page, which is what I'm on right now, on page 22. So start opening your books if you haven't. That's going to be focusing on like common phrases or directions that you hear in class. So like what's going to help us. If we were in a physical classroom, we'd be using these way more versus like what we're doing right now, but it's still things that you need to know, especially if/when we go back to the classroom. So this first page, page 22, is going to have a lot of directions and questions that you might need to ask in a regular Spanish class of like, how do you say this? Can I do this? What does this mean? How do you spell something? So things like that. And then the next page, which will be page 23, will be the same idea, but it'll be things that you see in the textbook. So it'll be like, read the following, or do you understand? So it'll be things that deal with like textbook directions, but either way, things that deal with school. So I'll start you guys off on this one. So we are on page 22. We're going to be going through some of these little conversations that you have at the top, but for the most part, we'll have the vocab underneath it. So I guess the good thing is that you have it here already and set to go. So I'm just going to kind of go down the list and give you like examples of when you might hear it. But this is not going to be on page 35, which is what we had been using for like our review page for vocab. This is specifically just to this, which is why last time in the last video I told you guys that it feels like this part of the chapter is kind of not connected to the rest of it because it's just like it's a foundation chapter. So we have to know like how to function in a classroom, I guess you could say. So we just kind of stuck it in the beginning before we get into the real Unit 1, Chapter 1 stuff. So I'm start at the top. You guys will kind of see as we go. So we have a picture of a teacher with 4 kids in the classroom, but we have a student raising her hand and she's asking the teacher a question. So remember, all the blue words are going to be the new things, and then the regular black type will be words that we've heard already or have covered in previous weeks. So first, she says, Maestro, ¿cómo se dice Wednesday? So she's asking, Maestro, teacher, how do you say Wednesday? Obviously in Spanish, that's what she's asking. So he answers, Se dice miércoles. Se dice just means you say, and then the word for Wednesday in Spanish, miércoles. Also remember, if you don't capitalize the words in of days of the week in Spanish, that's why when he speaks it, it's also not capitalized. Okay. Then we have a giant list. You have another tiny little mini conversation. I'll start with the conversation and we'll come back to the list just because it's there. So the second picture, again, the teacher. I want to say a different student, but with the student. And so what he has over like his chest is just like an identifying card. It says El Maestro de Español, or the teacher of Spanish, the Spanish teacher. That's basically what it says. He's saying muchas gracias to the girl, which is thank you very much, or many thanks, technically. And then she says de nada, which is just you're welcome, which again is will be things that you probably hear on a daily basis when it comes to stuff in class, right? So I'm gonna go through the list for you guys. This little section is called en la clase, which just literally means in the class, because these will be phrases or questions or directions that you hear or that you have to use and say in the classroom setting. So the first one, specifically, the phrase is abran los libros, but we most likely add on the rest because you'll have to do that in a classroom. So abran los libros means open your books. En la página, the parentheses phrase just means 2-page, ocho, right? Or whatever page you need. So abran los libros, open your books. And I kind of will have to do it through here anyway because you guys are following along with books. So that means next time I can tell you in Spanish what page to open to. Similarly, the opposite of that, cierren los libros. Close your books. That one doesn't need en la página because you're not going to close to a page. You're just going to close the book and that's it. But cierren los libros means close your books. ¿Cómo se dice is the question that the little girl raised her hand in the first picture. So ¿cómo se dice, ... is how do you say, ... something. And so the way you answer that is se dice, and then the answer. So you say hola, or you say la clase, right? Whatever you're trying to figure out. You say the class. We've practiced this a bit. The question, ¿cómo se escribe? Escribe just means to write. So how do you spell and then the thing that you're trying to spell. So when we were doing names, or alphabet, I should say, we practice spelling names, the name of our school, like our state, like any word technically. But if you just don't know how to spell something, you could ask me, ¿Cómo se escribe? What could I say? Mañana, right? How do you spell tomorrow? And I would say, se escribe, and then M, A, N, and then all the letters that you need. Next you have comprendes. I'll point to it. It's just one word. Comprendes probably looks similar to an English word that looks like comprehend, and comprehend just means to understand something. So if I ask you, comprendes, I'm just asking, do you understand what we're going over or what we've done? Then you have a direction. Levanten la mano. Raise your hand, which is hard to do, at least right now. At least on Zoom, we can do like the little click on there, but just levanten la mano if you ever need to ask a question on something, right? Next will be a direction. I'm assuming you might have to do for me, because I tend to speak quickly, and I know that it's always been an issue. It says, más despacio, por favor. So the first part, más despacio, just means more slowly. Por favor just means please, or asking please. So más despacio, por favor, more slowly, please. So like if someone's speaking way too quickly, tell them más despacio, más despacio. Next one, I'm assuming you might have heard this one already. It's a pretty common phrase. No sé just means I don't know. So if I ask you a question, you don't need to know the answer for everything, right? But if you don't know something, you can just tell me no sé. I don't know. Next, ¿qué quiere decir? Something, something. So what does something, something mean? So I could ask you, for example, when we're like trying to review for like a quiz or like vocab or something like that, I could ask, ¿qué quiere decir hasta luego? And then someone would levanten la mano and answer my question. So, ¿qué quiere decir hasta luego? You could say, quiere decir see you later, right? It means see you later. Okay, towards the bottom of this. We have repitan, and again, por favor. So repitan just means to repeat. Repitan, por favor. Repeat, please, which I'll most likely use more with you than you with me, because I want you to repeat after me when it comes to some activities. At least you should be when we're watching these videos. You gotta practice saying these because you are gonna be talking. And in order to talk, you have to practice pronouncing all the words at least. Another direction. Saquen una hoja de papel. Take out a sheet of paper. How could I say take out a sheet of paper, please? Saquen una hoja de papel, por favor. Right? Just add the please at the end. Third to the bottom, siéntense, to sit down. I won't be using this, at least for right now, because you're all most likely sitting on something automatically. But siéntense just means sit down. Second to last, a question. ¿Tienen preguntas? That just means, or asks, do you have any questions? Or do you have questions? Either one. And then you say sí or no, right? If you have any. And then the last one is just verdad. This is like a really common word, not even in the class, which is, in my opinion, interesting that they put it here, but like a typical conversation. Because you probably do this in your everyday life, I'm assuming daily. At least I think I do. You ask someone, right? So they say something and you might automatically say, I know, right? Or like just asking if something is correct in general. So if you want to know something is correct, or if you are correct in something that you said, just ask, verdad? Like, is that right? I don't know, maybe. And so it just means right. So this is in the class, although technically a lot of this stuff will deal with the textbook as well. But I'm going to show you on the next page, so page 23, if you want to flip, the specific in the book section. So we have a very happy guy here taking a look at his Spanish textbook. We have en el libro, which just means in the book. So you have a few like direction starters here, which you'll see yes, for me, because I'll give you guys assignments, but again, most of our assignments are kind of written now. I speak to you guys kind of through here, although you don't respond, and then on Zoom. But here we have what you'll find in the textbook directions. Although luckily all the directions for like assignments in our textbook are translated, and they do have the English as well. But you'll see a lot of these phrases throughout our book. So first phrase, completa la conversación. Even without looking at the English, you could probably figure that out. Completa is complete. La just means the. Conversación is conversation. So like a fill in the blank. Finish the conversation. In Spanish, obviously. Second, Contesta las preguntas. Contesta, first word, means to answer. Las means the, preguntas, questions. Third one, it could be one of two ways. Either escoge la palabra or it could be escoge la respuesta. For the first one, escoge la palabra, it just means choose the word. So like a multiple choice or like a something that might have like a word mix. So choose the correct word that fills in the blank, something like that. It could also be escoge la respuesta, which is just choose the right answer. Maybe it's not a word, maybe it's like a number when we're doing our phone number practice, right? Choose the right answer, choose the right number. Fourth down, we have escribe. That just means to write. So escribe el día. Write down what the day is. Escribe tu número de teléfono, right? Write down your phone number. Escucha. That's the fifth down right here. Escucha, to listen, sorry. So escucha, escucha la maestra, right? Listen to the teacher, whatever you might be doing for that activity. Explica kind of looks like it does in English in my opinion. So explain something. So explain your answer for something. Next we have indica si es cierto o falso. Indica is to indicate or like show the reason for something. So indicate if it is true or false. Indicate whether, they say whether if instead of if, but indicate whether if it's true or false. Fourth from the bottom, yeah. You might assume this is pronounced li. It's not li. It's lee. I know it's odd. So lee, that just means read. So directions to read something, a certain passage. Third from the bottom, pregúntale a otro, or it could be otra, right? Because it depends on guys or girls when it comes to adjectives. So pregúntale a otro estudiante, or pregúntale a otra if it's a girl estudiante. Just means ask another student. Same to the second from the bottom. Trabaja. So this time you won't ask. Trabaja is to work. So trabaja con otro estudiante, work with another student, or trabaja, con otra estudiante. The same, right? In English, we don't have a gender difference, so it's just work with another student. And the last one. Trabaja en grupo de something. So it's just to work, right? Trabaja is, hopefully you figured out, it just means to work. So trabaja en un grupo, work in a group of, so trabaja en un grupo de cuatro, right? Trabaja en un grupo de cuatro, work in a group of four. Or trabaja en un grupo de seis, would be a pretty big group. So these will all be phrases that you hear from me or that you're reading in a textbook, and just things that we kind of use on a day-to-day basis because they're pretty basic directions that you will have to use and have to know what they mean when I use them as well. So this is technically the end of our chapter. Make sure you guys use some of our previous material to help you figure out everything for that first like chapter / unit. It's not really unit, it's a chapter test that you guys have coming up. And then once we actually get through this, you have your little project that you're going to work on, and we'll start like the official unit 1, lesson 1. So look at your notes, make sure you still look at page 35, and if you have any questions, make sure you guys reach out to me. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.